Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to break down one of the most powerful tools out there for anyone trying to build something new. It's called the Minimum Viable Product, or MVP for short. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of how to do it, let's talk about the why. And it all really boils down to one simple and frankly terrifying question that every single creator has to face. Right? I mean, if you've ever tried to create anything, you know this feeling. It's that nagging fear in the back of your mind, the one that can definitely keep you up at night. Just picture it for a second. You pour your time, your money, your passion, everything into this project you believe in. And then you launch, and nothing. Just crickets. It's an entrepreneur's worst nightmare, but you know what? There's a way to avoid that whole scenario. So this fear, it's so universal that it actually sparked a whole new way of thinking about how we build things, a methodology designed from the ground up to fight it. Okay, let's get one thing straight right away. An MVP is not some buggy, half-finished product. Not at all. It's a strategic, super streamlined version, and it's designed to do one thing and one thing only: learn. The whole point is to validate your main idea with real, actual users as fast and as cheaply as you possibly can. And that really gets to the heart of it. You can send out surveys all day long asking, hey, would you pay for this? But the only feedback that truly matters, the real moment of truth, is when you ask people to actually pull out their wallets. The MVP just gets you to that moment of truth way faster than any other method. So the trick is to fight that temptation to build every single feature you've ever dreamed of. Instead, you have to ask yourself, what is the number one most important problem that my product solves? And then, what's the absolute simplest version of that solution I can build? Your first job is to zero in on that core value. This visual here just nails it. You've got to define that essential, bare-bones set of features that is just enough to make someone say, yep, I'm willing to pay for that. Okay, so that's the theory. But how does this all work in practice? Well, it's all powered by a really simple but incredibly effective feedback loop. This is basically the engine of the MVP. An idea pioneered by Eric Rice in his book, The Lean Startup. It's like a three-step dance. First, you create the simplest version you can. Then you measure how real people actually use it. And finally, you learn from that data to figure out what to build or what to change next. In this image, it does such a great job of showing the philosophy here. It's not about taking one giant leap of faith and just hoping for the best. It's about taking a series of small, smart, validated steps. And with each little step, each new version, your product gets closer and closer to what people actually want. It cuts down on waste and maximizes what you learn. Now, what if I told you that you could test a massive, really complex idea without writing a ton of code or building some huge operation? Because some of the biggest companies in the world, well, that's exactly how they started. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. The biggest online retailer in the world started out with no inventory. So, how on earth did they do it? It's almost laughably simple, right? They were actually losing money on every single book they sold. But profit wasn't the goal, not even close. They were laser-focused on answering one critical question. Will people trust the internet enough to buy books online? And this completely manual process gave them a loud and clear yes, without having to build a single warehouse. So the super clever trick, it actually has a name. It's called concierging. It's basically like you're putting on a show. To the customer, it looks like this amazing, fully automated service. But behind the curtain, it's just you and your team doing all the work by hand. The food delivery service Peditia did the exact same thing, with the founders personally calling restaurants. It's just the ultimate way to get that direct feedback and prove your idea works. Now, it's easy to hear all this and think, okay, so I'm supposed to think small. But that's not it at all. It's actually the complete opposite. You're starting smart so you can build a solid foundation for something much, much bigger. The MVP isn't the final stop. It's the launch pad for a much longer journey. And that's where your product roadmap comes into the picture. This is your long-term vision, your strategic plan for where you're going. It maps out how you plan to evolve from that simple first product into a full-featured solution. But here's the key difference. Every new feature on that roadmap isn't just a guess anymore. It's a hypothesis that's directly based on what you've already learned from your real users. And you have got to remember that this roadmap is a living, breathing thing. It is not carved in stone. You know those old-school business plans that try to predict everything 5 years from now? This is the anti-that. Every time you go through that create, measure, learn cycle, you get new information that should absolutely change your priorities. And that's not a failure in planning, that's the system working perfectly. So, when you put it all together, you have this incredible toolkit for building smart. You can see in this little sketch how all the pieces we've talked about just click together. You've got the user, the feedback, the validation. It's a powerful system where what your users tell you directly fuels what you build next. So, why go through all this effort? Well, the payoff is huge. You save a ton of time by not building features nobody will ever use. You save a ton of money by not making massive upfront investments. You get the most learning you possibly can for every dollar and every hour you spend. And, most importantly, you avoid that startup's greatest fear, building something nobody wants. So I want to leave you with this one final thought. For whatever idea you're working on, big or small, stop asking, how can I build the whole thing? Instead, ask yourself this: what is the absolute smallest, simplest experiment I can run to prove once and for all that people truly want this?